Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if this is your first time here, hi, my name is Carrington. Not your first time here, hi, welcome back. If you enjoy makeup looks, talking about makeup, as well as books, then you're definitely going to want to go ahead, hit that subscribe button, click the little bell to be notified of all my future uploads, whether that be book related, makeup related, or all of the above. Then definitely make sure you join this dumpster fire. I am here for you, for your entertainment, okay? That's all that there is to it. So let's go ahead and let's dive on into today's video, where I'm going to talk about my latest book haul. So I recently purchased 47 books. I got some from Amazon and some, your girl is thrifty, and some lady was talking about on like the swap shop that her sister-in-law like gifts her books a lot, and a lot of them like she either has or she knows she's not going to have time to read, or a book that she's not really into, and so she just kind of sells them. And I am like brand new books for sale. Like I bought like 20 books for like $80. I was like, yes please. So let's go ahead, we're going to dive on into the different genres that I had bought, what I'm really excited about, just all the good things, try to quick fire go through all of them. So let's go ahead and let's get started. We're first going to start off with like magical fantasy type books. So the first one is this one right here called Sky in the Deep by Adrienne Young. So this is about, what is her name? Elyn? E-E-L-Y-N. I don't know how to pronounce that, okay? And so basically her brother, she thought she had watched die, and then it turns out her brother is actually fighting for the other team, the bad guys, and so she's really upset about this. She feels really betrayed by her brother, and so now she needs to kind of like wreck forces with them to try to save like the world, the country, things like that. So it's a little magical. Up next is The Witch's Blade by A.K. Mulford. This is kind of similar. In this, Ruidora, I think is how you say her name. Ruidora possesses the immortal blade, and of course there is the North King who would really like the blade, and also he has cast a spell over the Blue Witches, which is part of like her clan. And so she has to try to fight the Northern King and his army before the spell basically wipes them all out. Along the way of trying to break the curse and save them, she is going to kind of move in closer to the Northern King. And so it's like a battle of like doing what's right for like her people, but also her heart. So that's going to be very interesting to read. I'm excited for that. The next one is going to be The Witches of Moonshine Manor. So this is about a group of witches. They're a little bit older. They're behind on the mortgage. They're trying to like save their home, save themselves with like powers, but like also at the same time, it's just like a ton of like malicious threats, and it seems like their magic just like isn't up to par for that. So then they meet Persephone, who is like a rising TikToker who wants to smash the patriarchy. So they call on the forces to like her forces to help them like get back their powers, get back their home, and just kind of be a little bit more stable for the rest of their lives. So it's supposed to be like have some magical fantasy in it, but it's also supposed to be like really uplifting and funny. So I'm excited for that. The next one is going to be All of Us Are Villains by Amanda Foody and Kristen Lynn Herman. And this is going to be kind of like the Hunger Games, but magical, if that makes sense. Basically, it's whenever there is the blood moon, 7 families have to name a champion to compete in a secret tournament to the death. This happens every blood moon, except for this time when these kids are going to go and compete. They are given a lot of information that previous contestants didn't have. which is about the other families, like strengths, weaknesses, things like that. And so they can do with that information what they will, where they can either accept their fate or they can rewrite their own legacy. So this is like Hunger Games, but even more magical. So I'm really, really excited because I loved the Hunger Games when I was a kid. That book series was so good, so good. And also, they just relaunched another book, and I did get that at a previous time, and I didn't do a haul, but I did get that book as well. But I haven't read it yet. So I'm really excited to see kind of how that one pans out. The next one is going to be this right here called Under the Whispering Door. So this is about somebody who doesn't realize that they're dead until they're like seeing their body being like hauled away. And then he meets somebody who is like a medium, and he's like, yeah, you're kind of stuck in this world. Like, you need help crossing over. He's like, well, I will gladly help you cross over. He's like, so you have 1 week until you have to cross over. So now he's like, I'm going to live the life that I wanted to live in those 7 days. So this book is just like all about like him finding himself and him living the best 7 days of his life before finally crossing over into whatever the afterlife is. So that just sounds so good to me. I then also purchased this Kristen Hanna book. I have heard a lot of people rave about her. This is Fly Away. This is about two best friends who are very like unlikely best friends. You've got one that's like the really popular pretty girl, and then you've got the other one who's kind of a geek, more reserved. You know, you wouldn't really think that they would be friends together, but they end up being the best of friends. Unfortunately, one of them dies. And so the other friend is like, okay, I'll keep my promise to you where I will take care of your kids. She's never been a mom. Her mom was never there for her, but she realizes she's going to need her mom's help. So she calls on her mom, and her mom comes back, and she is like, I 1000% want this to be like my second chance to build that life with my daughter that I just didn't get to have. So it's kind of like both of their journeys and like finding themselves on a grieving journey and, you know, trying to like transform their life and make amends for things they did in the past. So I hear she's a fantastic author. Her books are really, really large. Like, this is over a 400-page book. But I hear that she is just really, really good, and like her writing will really get you thinking. So when I saw that the girl that I bought some books from had this as part of hers, I was like, yes, please. Yes, please. If you do not know me, I love Disney. I love Disney everything. Disney makes me happy. We could talk about Disney for a long time. So naturally, I got some books that are about Disney. So first of all is going to be this book called Crossed. So this is kind of like an adult smutty version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So basically, there's this girl who she cares for like her disabled brother, and then at night she turns into Esmeralda, where she like dances for like men in order for her to be able to like make money. And then of course, and this is called Father Cade, you know, Judge Claude Frollo basically, lays eyes on her and is absolutely in love with her and enamored with her, and he's pretty sure that it's like witchcraft. Like, she is like, the reason why he's in love with her is because like she's performing witchcraft on him. And so he is just like, can't stop thinking about her, can't stop wondering about her, can't eat, can't sleep, like anything like that, because he's just so enamored with her. And then he is like, I have to kill her to like get over this. And he's like, but this might be like the only woman I will ever love. I'm just like, oh boy, here we go. I have heard that that's like a strongly like really religious book, but also it's based on Hunchback of Notre Dame. So do with that what you will. Just remember, like, these are like more adult smutty type books, but the Hunchback of Notre Dame is largely about religion. Like, has like religious context as pretext, things like that. So just remember that. The other two, and these are the last two of my fantasy books that I got, are these. So we've got, they're from the same author, Liz Brashwell. So this is What Was Once Mine, A Twisted Tale. So basically this is the story of Rapunzel, but instead of getting the sun drop that Mother Gothel gets, you know, it cures the queen, then she steals it. Instead, they find the moon drop, and it still cures the queen, but now Rapunzel's hair, instead of being yellow, is silver. And instead of having healing properties, it actually really hurts people. So the king and queen are like, well, we have to lock her up to keep her safe and everyone else safe. And it's actually the good mother Gothel. Excuse me. Good mother Gothel, like she's supposed to be like the good person, and she's just kind of like is there to like keep her company and things like that. So in this, she does, ends up escaping. She meets Flynn Rider and Gina, and from here, that's when she starts learning about like the deep dark mystery of her hair, and finds out there's a lot more to her past in her hair than what she had originally thought. So this last one from that series is Tale as Old as Time. This is about Beauty and the Beast. And in this, she is under the spell of the Beast. Her father is living at home in his cottage in that town, waiting and hoping that like Belle's mother, that like she can't even remember, comes back. Well, then she sees the rose and she actually touches the rose. And that's when she realized that it's actually her mother that had set the curse on the Beast. And so now the Beast and her are having to like team together to like figure out like her life and all of the secrets and mysteries of that to try to undo the curse. So I'm really excited for that. So next up are going to be like non-fiction books, but I want to say there is one in here that is technically fiction, but I didn't really know where to put this because it's not really fantasy either, like magical fantasy. It's not really a thriller, and it's not really a horror either. This is going to be Any Land by Amber Tamblyn. Basically, this is just kind of talking about like sexual assault culture, and it does this from like a fictional standpoint. And on the flip side, this is about like a woman who preys on men. And in this, like the police don't want to believe any of the men. They think that they're lying. They shame them for whatever is happening, and like years are passing and these men are having to learn how to heal and band together to like speak up, raise their voices, things like that. So although this is fiction, it has some very like true vibes, and so I didn't really know where to put this, so I'm just putting it in the nonfiction, even though I realize it is not a nonfiction. The next one is going to be No Place for the Weak by Ryan Green. So this is about where somebody actually, this is a true story. So in 1999, yes, this was in Australia. They were called to investigate like this bank where there's like a whole bunch of barrels, and they realize that there's bodies inside. And as they're looking into the investigation, they find out that there were 4 people that thought that they were like cleansing cleansing society and doing like good for society. They were killing pedophiles, LGBTQ communities, addicts, those who are homeless, and like just trying to make what they thought would make the world like a better place was by ridding all of them of those people. And they did that for like the longest time. And it took them a really long time to even care about what was happening. I mean, shocker. So this I think is going to be a really, really good book, and I cannot wait to read it. This next one is going to be A Long Walk to Water. It is like super short, but it kind of follows 2 people, one in 1985 and one in 2008. They are located in Sudan. Both of them are refugees, and it just kind of talks about their battle being a Sudan refugee and trying to make it in like the day-to-day life, things like that. I heard this is like such a good book. It was like #1 on Amazon for #1 nonfiction or historical fiction, or no, nonfiction or historical nonfiction. Ooh, that was a lot. There's a lot of words. On Amazon, and so I was like, we'll give this a go. And then the last one in the nonfiction category is called The Radium Girls. Okay, if you guys do not know about The Radium Girls, it's pretty wild. So whenever glow-in-the-dark first came about, there were glow-in-the-dark watches, and they were making them in factories, and you would use radium, which, as we know now, you use radium to try to like fight cancers and things like that because it kills every cell in your body. So these women would have paintbrushes, and they would have to keep and like lick the tip, dip it in the radium to make sure like it was like fine lines on these watches. And it was like slowly starting to take a toll on the women. Like, they were losing their teeth, they were getting sores in their mouths, and they were getting cancer, and they were getting like really, really sick. And the company was like, oh no, it's not radium. And like, everyone else was not willing to even look into this, not even acknowledge that this was a thing. It took like a lot of them dying and getting super, super sick for anything to be done about it. History is just wild to me. The history, but like in its dark version, always interests me. So I'm really excited to read this. But again, this is a huge book. This is like almost 500 pages. So it's going to take a minute, but I'm really excited for this book as well. Next up is probably going to be one of my favorite genres to read. That's going to be thrillers. So let's go ahead. Let's dive on into the thrillers that I have. Confessions by Kane Minato. So this is about a teacher whose child is murdered at a school, and so now she's set to think that it's one of her students. So she is set out to get revenge on all of her students, and this just goes through like the revenge and the secrets of what happened to her child just start to unfold. This sounds wild, so I'm really excited. Next up is going to be Shutter. So this is about a crime scene investigator. Usually she's more like a photographer, but she is asked to come on scene a lot because she is able to communicate with ghosts. And there are times though when the ghosts can be a little bit overbearing. And there is a case where she goes to a bridge where a supposed suicide was supposed to have happened. However, the ghost is telling her that she was murdered, and now it's up to her to try to solve the murder, get the police to believe that it was a murder and not a suicide, while they're also thinking she's crazy because she talks to ghosts. There's just so many components to this book that I'm really, really excited about, especially like the talking to ghost part. It kind of reminds me of the show with Jennifer. Is that called Ghost Whisperer? Is that what that show is called? Kind of reminds me of that. Because I really, really liked that show as well. So I'm excited to read that. The next book is going to be I Know My Name by C.J. Cook. So this is about a woman who is washed ashore to this island after a wreck with her ship, but she can't recall anything. And the inhabitants are trying to nurse her back to health. While doing so, she meets these 4 people who say that they're vacationing, but she's noticing her interactions with them are proving to be like a little bit weird. She thinks they know more, or that they're really anxious about something that they're not like telling. So slowly she has to try to figure out like who she is, but also what these people on the island are also hiding. The next one is Little Secrets by Jennifer Hillier. I love her as an author. I have read some of her other books and she's so good. So I was so excited to like pick this up. So basically this is about Marion, and she has a fantastic life. She is engaged or married to her college sweetheart named Derek. They have a beautiful son together named Sebastian. However, soon he is taken. And although they are trying to do everything they can to find him, eventually it goes cold, publicity stops. Her and Derek are just on edge with each other. They are just not talking to each other. And it turns out he's having an affair. And she's really, really upset about the affair because she thinks there's something that's really suspicious going on with the girl he's having an affair with. So it's just going to dive into the secrets of what happened to her son. The next is going to be Truly, Darkly, Deeply by Victoria Selman. So this is about Amelia Rose, who meets Maddie Melgren, who they really become really good friends. They start to form a relationship, but then it just kind of it comes to a head whenever a serial killer is known to be targeting victims that look a lot like Amelia. And when somebody was able to escape and did a sketch, that person the sketch that was made really looked like Maddie. So then he is arrested. He is put in jail. She finally wants to know like the answers. So she goes and visits him in jail, and upon doing so learns so much more about what was happening then. So it's a little mystery, but we're gonna find out what happened. The next one is going to be called Look Closer by David Ellis. Whoa! So Simon and Vicky are a couple. They are very successful. They are very wealthy. It seems that they have everything going for them. Like these two, like, absolutely nothing could go wrong, right? But then one of their neighbors is found hanging, and suddenly, like, Simon and Vicky each have their own web of lies. It's starting to untangle. It seems like they're both conning each other. There's just like a whole lot of like what is happening with this couple, where it just seems like that perfect couple is just starting to unravel right before everyone. So this is supposed to be like a really good, like, what's going on, who done it. It's supposed to be very well written, so I'm very excited for that one as well. The next one is going to be The Weight of Blood by Laura McHugh. So this follows Lucy. Lucy lost her mother at a really young age. Then later on in life, she also loses her best friend. So she sets out and trying to solve the mystery of what happened between the two of them. And along the way, you know, obviously discovers, you know, a lot of twists, turns, darkness about other people around her that she did not expect. So I'm really want to see how this ends, like what happened to her friends. The next one is The Club. This is by Ellery Lloyd. So this is about a very exclusive club where you can only come in if you are on like a guest list. You want to be on that guest list. But as people are going to this island to be a part of this very exclusive club, slowly they realize that they're not going to be able to leave, and people are going to start dying. And so people need to like figure out who's behind this, how to stop them. I'm sure there's a lot more twists and turns. Sometimes I feel like thrillers, it's just kind of like, oh, they all kind of sound the same, but yeah, they're all so different. It's just wild to me. It's so wild. This book is called They're Watching You by Chelsea Chasso. And the weird thing about this is that I also think this is kind of Hunger Games-ish. So Polly is a girl that had gone missing at the school. She was very good friends with Marin, and Marin, then, you know, they think that she's a runaway, like nobody really cares that she's missing. So then she is like, okay, I would to dig into this a little bit more. She was going through Polly's things where she finds an invitation. Once she realizes that there is like some, like at this boarding school, college type thing, like there's like some hidden society where they play games. Every game that she wins, they're going to give her a clue about Polly. But then she's starting to realize that like this society within this school is so strong, so deep, has like such a chokehold on everybody. And she needs to figure out what is happening to Polly while also being able to stay alive. The next one is The Murder Game, and I know you might be like, is this going to be another Hunger Games type? Nope, this is not anywhere near like Hunger Games. This is about two guys who are in college, and they decide that they're going to sneak out of their dorm room one night. I'm guessing it's more like a boarding school than like a college. It sounds more like a boarding school. So they decide that they're going to sneak out, they're going to go to the woods, they're going to meet some girls, they're going to have a good time. But then they realize the next day that one of the teacher's wives is found dead in the woods. And now, instead of telling anybody about where they were at, they want to solve the murder so they can get their name cleared, even though like right now, like there's like, your name's not really in anything quite yet. Like, where were you? So I'm just wondering what they're going to discover. And then this one right here is called The Kind Worth Killing by Peter Swanson. This talks about how Ted and Miranda, they're on a flight and they just start revealing like more pieces of information to each other. Ted finally, you know, mentions his wife and how they're just like in this really stale period and that he would like to kill her. And Miranda is like, well, I will gladly help you. Like, let me help you. And so he is like, okay. So, you know, then like slowly over time, more information is being revealed to each other about each other. And now they're just kind of playing cat and mouse with each other. And now it's just kind of like who's going to make it out of this cat and mouse game alive, or no one. The next two books are in a series together. It's the One of Us is Lying, One of Us is Next. It's basically just like about a group of friends. People keep dying. So they're just trying to like keep their secrets, protect their secrets while unraveling the mystery around them. So those are really big books, but I've heard that it's a really good series. So I'm excited to go ahead and read that. The next one is going to be The Mother at Number 5 by Jill Childs. This is about a husband and wife who has a kid, and this new mom, single mom, moves in. And at first, the wife is kind of like, yeah, don't really let her into our life. But the husband's like, oh, she seems really great. She has a kid. But then like the mom allows her little girl to get hurt. And so that's when the wife is like, tells her husband, nope, and he's like, no, like she didn't mean it. And she's like, no, she 1000% did. So now she is out for revenge. It's pretty insane because she will do whatever it takes to protect her kids. It's going to be wild. The next one is going to be When You Disappeared by John Mars. So this is about a couple. The wife wakes up. She thinks that her husband has gone running like he normally does, but then he never ever shows back up. She is trying to find him. She misses him desperately. She's really struggling with him being gone. However, he's literally half a world away living his best life. He's just trying to stay one step ahead of whatever it is that he was trying to leave behind. And slowly his wife, who wants answers, soon realizes she does not want those answers. And we just have to figure out why. What is going on? What is going on with your husband, girl? And then the last book from the thriller is going to be The Face on the Milk Carton by Caroline B. Cooney. So this is going to be about Janie Johnson. And you know how like people put faces on did put faces on the back of milk cartons to like talk about like those that were missing. And then she notices like on the back of one of the milk cartons is her. Like that's her on the milk carton. And she realizes that her parents were never her parents. They were never ever her parents. And so now she's like grappling with like trying to like free herself from them, with her parents obviously not wanting to go under for this. It's a book about like trying to figure out what happened and free herself from this. The next set of books that I have is going to be in the horror section, and this is my last section. So the first up is a book I did not expect to be this big. I literally thought this was a textbook that I'd accidentally gotten a textbook. But this is 1000% the correct book. This is called House of Leaves. This is like a really acclaimed book. It's kind of really expensive. This was like $30-something for me to get off of Amazon. And the hardback was like $60. But basically it's supposed to be like a really just kind of fun, like artsy type of book. But basically it's about this house where this family moves into this house. But from the outside it looks like a normal house. But when you go inside, you realize that there's no possible way that this house can be as big on the inside based on what it looks on the outside. So it's just kind of like talking about like all the rooms that are within this house, and it's supposed to just be like, just like the way that it's like written is just like very artsy, things like that. So I don't know what I'm expecting. It was recommended off Book Talk, so I was like, let's give it a try. Now I'm just like, ooh, I don't know how I feel about this one yet. Next up is going to be Psycho by Robert Bloch. Okay, this is based off of, you guessed it, the movie Psycho with Norman Bates. If you've seen the movie, then you're going to know what this is about. Basically, his mother has been dead, or so he thinks, and he sees in this motel a woman undressing. He's watching her. I'm sure we all remember that scene. But mother is there, watching him, and she will do whatever she needs to take with a butcher knife to keep him from his dirty thoughts. This next one is going to be Ring Shout by Pideli Clark. This was also a Book Talk recommendation. So basically, this is about a spell is cast over the American nation, and from here hell is being brought onto earth, and they are doing so in the way of Ku Klux Klan members trying to take over, brainwash all of America, so that a way like everyone will join like the evil forces. Of course, there is like a resistance movement of African Americans who are now trying to send the Ku Klux Klan members back to hell. So I don't know what I don't know. It was recommended from TikTok, so we'll give it a try. I'm willing to give anything a try. The next one is going to be Suffer the Children by Greg DeLuey. And this is about where there is a huge sickness that is just wiping out the children. They are dying. However, soon they come back to life, and the parents see them and they look as if they did before. The only issue is that when they feed, they need to feed off of blood. But it just seems like they are never fully satisfied. And so this just kind of talks about like a parent's like love for their child, and what are they willing to do in order to save their children or keep them young and innocent forever. Next up is going to be Sour Candy from Keelan Patrick Burke. This is about a man who has gotten out of prison, and he seems to be like this really great dad, taking his kids to do all of the fun things. The crazy part though is this kid he randomly met at a grocery market one day and has been with this kid ever since. That's not his kid. That's not his kid. So there's just a lot of things that just happen in this book. So I'm excited to read it. The next one is The Modern Promethesis. This is about a man who wakes up one time and he has the body parts of corpses attached to him. And he is trying to learn how to navigate his life with all of these different body parts. But along the way, the only thing that keeps happening is death and leaving blood wherever he goes. So it kind of almost reminds me of like Frankenstein, like rewritten maybe. I don't know. That's like the vibe I'm getting from like the synopsis about it, but who knows. Next up is going to be like this series, Old Lady Ketchel's Revenge, Hagatha Ketchel's Unhinged, and Hagatha's Century of Terror. Basically, it's about this lady who lives in Minnesota, and basically in her house she just does a whole bunch of horrors and atrocities to other people. It's literally like a whole entire series. I was looking for another book entirely. I saw those, so I added them to cart. The next book is going to be Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Caesar. So this is about a town, a daughter and father moved there. The dad starts working in this factory, and they have this weird clown as their mascot. Well, then the factory starts shutting down because there was a murder that happened. Everyone's blaming the kids. The kids thinks it's the other way around. There's like a fight amongst them, but there's like this killer clown that's trying to also murder everybody. The next one is going to be The Strange Bird by Jeff Vandermeer. So this is about where we as humans have decided to create these animals in a lab, and one of these is like this bird. And in the wild, like no other birds like really want to associate with her. She does a lot better with humans, but soon humans are being picked apart because now humans are like making like experimental like bears and like packs of networked foxes, and so basically the humans are just scrambling to stay alive as well as the birds. So it's just kind of like the battle of survival, honestly. This next one is Before I Go to Sleep. So this is about a woman who every time she goes to sleep, when she wakes up, she can't remember anything, which kind of reminds me of like 50 First Dates in a way. But when she wakes up, she can't remember everything. So she relies on other people to tell her what happened. But then she's slowly starting to notice that like maybe what people are telling her aren't really the truth and it's all just a lie. And so she has to like differentiate between that. But then it also makes you think about like, if you always lost your memory, who would you go to and who would you believe about what your life is really like? This next one is going to be The Devil Crept In. This is where it talks about a little boy goes missing, which is also very similar to a boy who went missing a long time ago. As along with that, as people like little boys are starting to go missing, animals were also going missing. Nobody else really seems to want to like talk about it or try to solve it. So somebody does try to take it upon themselves, but then realize there's like a whole horror behind everything that's like happening in the town, and they've got to try to solve it. This one is called We Need to Do Something by Max Booth III. This is about a family who gets locked in their bathroom during like a tornado warning, and then like horrors start happening and they have to try to like escape and find themselves as they're isolated in their own bathroom. Wild. Bathrooms weird me out sometimes. The next one is called The Weight of Blood. In a way, this kind of almost sounds like Carrie. But basically on prom night, there was a tragic accident, there was a tragic death, and everybody is blaming it on this girl named Maddie. And there is just like viral bullying and everything else of this girl, and everybody is just trying to pinpoint this on her. But she is wanting to come out with the truth, and the truth about what happened that night could destroy everyone else. Prettiest Girl in the Grave by Christopher Triana is about this group of girls who go to the graveyard. There's this game that you can play there. One of the girls' mom used to play this and barely escaped. She then realizes that her daughter has gone to the graveyard to play the exact same game. So now she is needing to try to save them before sinister forces are able to take hold of them. And they may not make it out alive. This one is called Rotters. This is about Joey, who has a lot of trauma and loss in his life. So he starts robbing graves. And you know, a lot of people are obviously really against him, and he goes to live with his father, and his father doesn't support him, but eventually they start seeing eye to eye, and then they start doing some really like macrame stuff together, and it's like they form a bond over it. Wild. The last two are then going to both be by Nick Cutter. The first one is called The Deep. So this is about a plague that slowly starts to make people not remember anything, such as like, you know, slowly it's like not being able to find their keys, and then it's not the letters of the alphabet, how to drive, and then their body stops like moving voluntarily, and so they think that they're like is a healer, like super like down in the ocean, so they're gonna build a lab to try to like find a cure, but then the lab goes like missing in action, and people need to go like down there to like try to solve this, and they find there's like a lot of like deep horrifying things that are actually down there. What is down there? I don't know. And then the last one is The Troop. This is about a Boy Scout group that goes into like the Canadian wilderness for a camping trip. When they get there that night, they are sitting around the campfire telling, you know, scary camp stories, when they meet a man who is biomedically engineered, and then he starts hunting all of them, and now it's like a battle of survival for a like Boy Scout group. It's wild. So those are all of the books I have to share with you. Let me know what you guys think down below. Are you guys going to pick any of these up? Have you read any of them? Are there ones you're just like, I am not interested in that at all? I love reading anything and everything, generally for the most part, as you can tell, from horror to thrillers to fantasy to like nonfiction to books that really make you think and feel emotion. I also love romance along the way as well. There's just not like nothing that I won't give a shot, you know, that I won't not try. Let me know what your guys' favorite books genres are down below. Don't forget to subscribe, click the little bell if you like things such as makeup looks, books, anything like that. Don't go ahead, subscribe, click the little bell so you're notified of all my future uploads, like, comment, share, and I will see you all in my next one. Bye.